just make one, you're good. It doesn't even have to be that good. You have to have a content strategy that is influenced by a brand strategy. And within that brand strategy, you're going to have positioning. So kind of what you were saying when you change a few words of the copy, that's positioning. So how are you positioning yourself in the market?
Before we begin the podcast, I have a super simple ask for you. If you could subscribe to the channel, that would help us reach more business owners every single day. Thank you. Let's begin. Ryan, you're the podcast guy, and my audience is primarily real estate agents and brokers. Now, podcasts are a big thing in the real estate scene. Why do you think that is?
Are they? I don't know. I every single realtor who I've never worked with a realtor because they never have the time for it. So I'm hoping that your audience of realtors is a little bit different. Now, real estate investors is a different game. We've worked with a lot of real estate investors. They have much more time, it seems. But hey, you're kind of telling me. I think it should be bigger, right? We work with a lot of law firms, trade schools, things like that. Obviously, like I said, real estate investors. So, I mean, it should be big because here's the reality, right? Most realtors are trying to show you a house, but you buy the house, but you don't interact with the house. You interact with the agent, right? So the thing that's implied is the house. The thing that's not implied is the relationship and how that's going to go. So if you're an agent, or it doesn't matter really who you are, if you're selling anything ever, if you're a car dealership and you can show me, hey, here's this Cadillac CTS. Here's the deal. Honestly, in 2006, they did have problems with the starters, but they ended up fixing that. This one has the recall, right? Same thing with the house, right? I'm the real estate agent. I'm going, hey, here's the house. It's beautiful. I don't really need to show you that. You can look at the listing for that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you where the structural problems are in these houses that were all built in 1987. And we're going to look how this one was fixed. And I'm actually going to have the inspector come and he's going to show you his report, right? All of these things, this is not just podcast related, though this could be said on a podcast, but it's more so about talking to the prospect or the buyer in a real regular way, not this like hyper edited drone footage of this amazing house. All of that stuff is implied. That's not why people buy, right? People buy because they buy with the person who's easiest to buy from. Right? The know, like, and trust. So I'll just stop there.
No. I think that's actually a better point. Like a lot of the real estate agents that I see that do well because they have like a story, like a feeling behind them. And they're not just some realtor trying to sell you. Because especially in like real estate, car sales, like those types of industries, you get those few bad ones that ruin it for everyone. And now everyone's throwing it sleazy. So if you can show that you're like a good person and you care about the client and this is your personality with it, you're going to do 1,000 times better. And podcasts are really good with that, right? Because they're authentic. That's
100%.
It's the bread and butter of it.
Yeah.
I know. What do you do a lot for podcasts in terms of real estate investors?
Yeah, I mean, what we find with investors is that they want to have a personal brand. They may be using it as a matchmaking service, essentially, where say they have somebody on that, that they could do business with, or maybe that their audience could do business with. But the real estate investor side is, I'm not going to say it's like ego, but it's more so just like, I want to be known as somebody, because real estate investors are in the background. Right? Realtors have to be public facing. Investors do not. Typically, they don't want to be. So that's why, especially in the investing side, it's important to know why you're doing it, because you don't want to have this general show, right? This general podcast. I would say for a realtor, you actually can have a very generic podcast because you're doing it, like we mentioned, kind of for the personal brand benefits. I don't see it making sense at all, unless you're teaching other realtors how to do it, to have a podcast that's going to reach hundreds of thousands or millions of people. It's an entirely new business now. Now you're a full-time podcaster. That's not what you set out to do. So podcasting for somebody like a realtor is even easier because it really doesn't have to be that good because nobody's really doing it anyway. So as long as you get on there and you just talk like a person, you automatically set yourself up. Now, if you're a marketer starting a podcast, well, now it has to be so much better because almost every marketer has a podcast, right? So, I mean, at least in my area, no, there, I know, I mean, I probably know 20 or 30 realtors, and none of them have a podcast, maybe one. Even the most successful guy, for example, I'm in New Jersey, he wanted to start one and he just never ended up starting it, or he did a few episodes and stopped. So if you just make one, you're good. It doesn't even have to be that good.
I actually find this really funny. In Minnesota and Wisconsin, I can think of 4 off the top of my head, 4 realtors that have podcasts. And also on the niche thing, I think with realtors, you can be specific because your niche is kind of made for you
Yeah.
because it's your area.
It's location, yeah, location based niche, which it doesn't get better than that. I had a local podcast and for hip hop artists and singers and creative people in New Jersey, and it started gaining traction just because there was no other podcasts that were doing that. So I ended up pivoting out of that and getting into more so what I do now. But there's a argument to be made on the local side, but the reality is you have to want it, and a lot of realtors or real estate investors or agents, whoever, they're already successful. Like, to take the time to make a podcast, like, if you don't need to do it, then you have to want to do it. So that's, I mean, at least in this niche, the real estate niche, like, you definitely have to want it, because if you're trying to make the next, like, bigger pockets, like, have fun. It's going to be a 15-20 year journey.
Real estate agents, are you struggling to capture leads? If you're struggling to capture leads through your website, we can help. We've created a step-by-step guide on how to use our lead capture engine. It's the system we've used on all of our real estate websites to capture sellers, including Cade Covey, who earned an extra $80,000 in just 3 months by working with us. Are you ready to set up your lead capture engine? Visit dmrmedia.org/#gift to learn more about how we can get warm leads like a pro. Yeah, no, that's 100% true. I think the big thing with podcasts though is you're going to run into, like, the first 50 episodes, you're going to get basically no views, no one's going to see it. But then as soon as you start getting views, the upside return is just insane. Because once people in your area are like, "Oh, hey, there's a guy over here, I trust him." Now all of a sudden all of your leads turn from this icy cold to, like, heated in the microwave for 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's how it should work. 100%. I mean, that's what it should be. Is people, it should be really the opposite of a billboard. You have the biggest, like, I buy any home, any condition, right? It should be the opposite of that, meaning it should be specific, it should be real, it should be raw, though it should be edited and professional. But yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it should put a face to the name. It should really have people believing in whatever philosophy. I mean, think about it. What realtor do you know that has a philosophy behind it, right? I don't know. Now, they probably do, but we just don't know what that is. So, a billboard is just telling you, this is what I do. Here, do you want to buy? And then a podcast, a clip of the podcast is going to give me probably some piece of advice that then, once that prospect either takes the advice or goes, "Oh, I haven't found that piece of advice before, thank you." Now you've developed a trust factor. So then it's going to be a no-brainer as to who they're going to use, moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. On the realtors, what I find really funny about them is they all seem to think that their unique niche in their area is that they're the person's friend. All of them. And so you get this, like, if I want to give you advice on real estate, let's say, I come off as a friend, but like, if you show yourself as like, "Listen, man, I can be your friend, but I can also do X on top of it," now you actually have a niche.
Yeah, and why would you? I mean, you already have enough friends. Like, if you're buying a house, you have a lot of friends, right? That's partially why you're buying a house, because all your friends are buying a house. So, and then they're going to come to your house and they're going to judge your house and they're going to be like, well, you got a pool, but like I got a pool and you have a hot tub and whatever. So like that's reality. So if you're the realtor that goes, hey man, you got enough friends, to be honest with you, your friends are thinking about themselves when they're talking to you. I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to put you in the best house for the best price and the best value. And that's it. So it would actually, they're not your friend. Like that's the craziest shit on top of what you're saying, which is you're not my friend. You're trying to sell me a $500,000-$600,000 thing. Like the car salesman is not my friend. That's why I'm buying it, because all they do is look at brass tacks. The only thing we're trying to do is get down to the number I want and the number you want. We're just trying to meet in the middle. So yeah, it is like just on that friendship kind of note, like, no, you're not. Like you're not. You have friends who are realtors. That's your friend, maybe, until they try to get you in a house. But I don't understand that, man. Like like all my clients are my friends, right? But they're my clients first, and some of them aren't even friends. Like though this is not a negative thing. It's just reality. It's just like we have a transactional relationship, and that's why our relationship works so well, right? So yeah, that kind of line is very gray and blurry. But I think if you came out and were like, and had an angle that was, if don't treat you like a friend, I treat you like a client, meaning I tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, because your friends tell you what you want to hear, right? Because they want to keep being your friend. So again, the best thing to do in content is to look at what everybody else is doing in your industry and just do the opposite. So does nobody have a podcast? I'll do a podcast. Is everybody saying they're your friend? I won't be your friend. Is everybody posting videos of the house? I'll post videos of myself, right? Or whatever. Just if you just do the opposite, you automatically are different, no matter if it's good or not.
Yeah, and the name of the game is to be different in marketing, fundamentally, right? Like, if you're the same as everyone else, you just don't show up on anyone's radar. Have you read the book Story Brand?
It's been recommended, but no, I have not read it.
Okay, you should read it. But the thesis of it is essentially your job is to build a story around your client, and you're supposed to be like their coach, essentially. Mm-hmm. So if you frame it in real estate as, I'm not your friend, I'm your coach in real estate, I'm here to help you get the best house, now you're really, really on it. Like you're really on the ball for marketing. And one of the things that I've been doing, so I do SEO for real estate agents, is going on the websites and changing the copy for that. And as soon as you flip the copy, you get like 1.5 times as many leads. You don't have to up the traffic, nothing. You just get more leads. So it's really, really important that you get that copy right.
Yeah, that's great, man. I love that. And here's the thing, right? There's a lot of hobbyist realtors, right? So they don't really care. Like they don't even have a website or whatever. Or there's legacy realtors that are just like, I've been here for 40 years. I don't need to do this. The people that you're working with are, people that are going to watch this, people who actually want to be different, not just say that they want to be. I mean, listen, you'll call some realtors and, I'll talk to, hey, this is what I do. They're not even curious. That's how set in their ways they are. Right. So yeah, I think when it comes to, the folks that you're working with, and that's an incredible result. I mean, that's just the proof, right? And that's what I do. That's what we do for our clients when we go through, their LinkedIn profiles. All we have to do is change the copy and then the leads start rolling in. But you have to want that. You kind of have to have, like, for lack of a better word, kind of that kind of growth mindset in a sense.
Yeah. On the LinkedIn thing, I know like I would say one of your bigger platforms is LinkedIn, if not the biggest. So what about LinkedIn copy makes you get leads? Like what specifically in the copy should I be writing?
Yeah. So the copy is the most important part, but it's not that here you can write this copy and then you get leads. It's not how it works. You have to have a content strategy that is influenced by a brand strategy. And within that brand strategy, you're going to have positioning. So kind of what you were saying when you change a few words of the copy, that's positioning. So how are you positioning yourself in the market? So it goes brand strategy, positioning, content strategy. Now let's pause there. Within content strategy, this is organic content strategy, by the way. So now we're getting into that. These are just, if you have brand at the center, you can put product or service at the center if you want, but I think brand at the center makes more sense. And then you go, okay, there's the organic content strategy, there's the paid, there's the SEO, so you have kind of pillars that branch off from this kind of core thing of your brand strategy. So now getting into content strategy, we have different layers. The simple way to put it is through the simple funnel framework, which is top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. This could be also, buyer unaware, buyer aware, and then solution seeking. So for example, you can have the unaware person is, I'm not even looking for a house. I'm just kind of like perusing. I'm just on social media. Then you have an aware person that's like, I know we're going to buy a house within this certain time, but I really don't know what type or how much money I'm going to spend, or even if what kind of mortgage I'm going to get. But I know eventually we're going to need a house, maybe in the next 6 to 12 months. Then below that is, okay, now I've figured out everything. I know what type of house I want. I know where I want it, etc. Now I'm looking, and maybe I'm going to start touring houses now. And I'm probably going to be looking for the right realtor, talking to a few realtors, going to some open houses, right? Within the content strategy, it's not about, oh, I just write this copy and then that whole funnel happens. Like, no, you need to bring people down the line, right? So that's how we do it. Now we use podcasting as the vehicle. So podcasts, the way we create podcasts, can fill the entire funnel. And then we write specific copy on top of the clips of those on top of the podcast clips, because we plan the podcast in relation to this content strategy, so that when we post the clips, some clips get 10,000, 100,000 views. Other clips get 50,000, maybe down to 10. And then we have clips that typically the clips with fewer views, those are going to be the bottom of the funnel clips. Those are going to be saying, hey, I'm taking 3 more clients before the end of November. If you want to apply, here you go. That's just one example of a call to action. But it's not the copy, it's not the call to action, it's the strategy. Because if you don't know where you're going, you're definitely not going to get there.
Real estate agents, are you tired of chasing leads? If you're struggling to find quality sellers or feel like marketing takes up too much time, DMR Media can help. We specialize in getting real estate agents high quality leads, ready to buy leads through SEO and pay per lead approach. That means basically no upfront cost and zero risk. You pay when we deliver results. Imagine a steady flow of clients finding you on Google while you focus on closing deals. We've done it for agents like Cade Covey, who earned an extra $80,000 in just 3 months with our system. Take back your time and get results. Visit dmrmedia.org to learn more about how we can make your marketing work for you. I really like that. Is that kind of why you do shorter podcasts as well? You have like 5 or 6 minutes?
Yeah, so that's part of it. So our strategy is 1/3 solo, just me. That's where I will first post the clips, and then a month or 2 later, I'll post the full episode. Also, you can repurpose a lot of this, which we can get into, especially with real estate, because you have new people coming in all the time in the same position. Then number 2, we have client interviews, which for real estate, I don't know. I tell every realtor to do it. Nobody does it. But if you just interviewed your clients, you would get so many more leads. The video would get 100 views and you get 10 DMs. By the way, cheat code. If you want to know how to do it, I got a video on how to do that. And then finally, we have co-hosted. So I have a general manager / production manager. My best friend, Jack, he works in this business too. Me and him will sit down in the studio and we will record a 1-hour episode. And so that'll be our long form along with the client interviews. And then the solo episodes are the short form / YouTube.
I like it. I actually watched the video on the client interviews. And I'm probably going to end up doing one here soon, just because it makes sense. Like, it's perfect positioning, because you can get it A, from your client, B, you can use content from it, and C, you can get feedback. So it's really just you're hitting everything.
Yeah, it's the best. I mean, you could do it. You could just do that only. I mean, imagine if you set them up in their new house, right? That was part of, the gift. Everybody leaves like champagne, which is fucking bullshit. Like, be creative, guys. Come on. Do something specifically. Get them a jersey to their favorite sports team. I mean, listen, we can go down. That's called Unreasonable Hospitality. If you want to read that book, it's the best. It'll change your entire marketing and sales process. But imagine you do that. You left them a gift that was custom to them. Crazy concept, guys. You just made like 20 grand on this. Can we spend $700? Can we spend 1,000? Can we spend 2,500? Can we get them a ATV for their son? I don't know. Think crazy, right? Think bigger. Then we do that, and then you sit them down in their new house, lights, cameras, clip-on mics, and you talk about that experience of getting in that house. People are going to cry. There's going to be stories. There's going to be emotions. There's going to be ups and downs. For what I do, it's a lot of excitement because it's podcasting. With homes, there's nothing more personal than a home when it comes to buying process. Car is nothing compared to a home, right? So all these are things that it's called the sale. It's the marketing and sales process. All of this is part of that. And then you know what it is? It's hospitality and it's client retention, it's client success. And so those are the things that, like, back to our original point, Andrew, they're not going to do. All these realtors are not doing it, but if you are going to do it, every single person, if you bought that guy a signed jersey for his favorite team and you left it in the house when he walked in, every single friend will be your client. Every single friend of a friend of that person will be your client. And that's just how life works. That's just how business works.
If you go above and beyond in anything, people will just come to you, which is just it's the most obvious thing, but no one does it. I was trying to convince one of the local real estate agents. His son does little like plastic toys. And I said, you know what would be great for every single one of your clients? Have him print out a custom keychain for whatever they're into. Dude, all you have to do is it's the next home. All you have to do is write the website on it as well. And you're going to get so many clients because it's personalized and it's always going to be with them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. And no, it's not about money. As you'll realize, hospitality, it's nothing to do with money at all. It's all about caring. It's all about being thoughtful. I'm not saying I'm good at this. I'm not. Like, that's why I'm learning it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's part of that experience. And a client interview is part of the experience. When I say to my clients, hey, I have 30,000 followers. Once we work together for 3 to 6 months and we've built your case study like we said we were going to do, then I'm going to have you on my podcast and distribute you to my entire network too. That's part of the customer experience. It's not, to your point, it's not just marketing. It's also customer experience.
Yeah. That's one thing that's also really, really good because you need to talk to your clients in general. Because if you get feedback about the customer experience, you can refine it and you can go, because you can tell what's working in terms of growing them. That's fairly obvious. But what retains people 9 times out of 10 is actually that customer experience. It doesn't matter if you're actually getting results half the time. It just matters if they enjoy it. So one thing that I've been playing around with personally is Loom videos. And I've been encouraging all my clients to do it as well. Don't just send an email, create a 1 to 2 minute Loom breaking it down because it's personable. Are you doing anything in that respect?
Loom is I've eliminated discovery calls. We use Loom for everything. So what I do is, here's how it works. I took discovery calls off just to see what would happen because we've hit our recurring revenue goals. We haven't hit obviously our ultimate revenue goals, but I'm like, okay, I'm happy where we're at and I don't need to be taking discovery calls from random people. 2 things. So 1, eliminating discovery calls. 2, putting a service request kind of button on my profile, which if you go there, you can like request services. So I'm like, okay, let's see how this works, right? What I do is we have an automation set up for this where I take my post for the week and I export every single person who engaged, liked, or commented on that post. And then that automatically goes in my CRM in a folder. And then from that folder, I have all these people, and then I have all my connection requests that I got that week. I go through and I have a message sequence that we can automate. We're automating this right now to the point where it's, but you can't obviously lose quality by automating. So we're going to make sure that it stays consistent in terms of the voice and all of that. But I'm doing it manually right now. Anybody who's could be an ideal client, I have a 2 or 3 message sequence that leads them to, hey, would you like a Loom video of a custom strategy? Then on Friday, I'll go and send 20, 30, 40 Loom videos with 5 minutes each custom strategies. On that Loom video, there's a button to the discovery call. So at the end of the Loom, I say, if you're ready to do this in the next 60 days, book this discovery call. If not, because that Loom video has all the pricing, it has the case studies, has the testimonials. But I say, if you're ready to do this in the next 30 to 60 days, then book this discovery call. If not, let me know. So they'll let me know where they're at. And then they'll say, oh, it's not right now, maybe Q2. Okay, cool. Then I'll just set a note to reach back out. But yeah, Loom is not only my sales process, it has not only eliminated my discovery calls, it is also my pricing. It is also how I train contractors and VAs. So yeah, man, it is such a huge part of my process from internal to external. This is, I mean, next time they're going to have to pay me, but
Dude,
that's the truth.
I love that. I'm going to take that because I'm running into issues of I'll book a discovery call, or sorry, I go straight to booking the discovery call. I don't have any intermediary unless I'm doing cold outreach, but adding that on LinkedIn is actually a really good idea. I like that.
Yeah, imagine, sorry to cut you off, but imagine also doing, this is just ideas now that we're talking about this. Imagine doing request a Loom, request a strategy. The things that you need for the buyer is they need to know what they're getting, how they're getting it. They basically need all of the questions that are in a discovery call answered before they get to the call. Mm-hmm. So that's why I moved to videos, Loom videos, pricing videos. I'm telling them hey, here's your options, guys, $2,500 a month or all the way up to $10,000 a month, depending on what you want. So don't book this call if you're not ready to basically spend 10 grand over 3 months, like don't book it. And because our clientele doesn't blink at that, right? So if you're going, that's a lot, that's more than I can spend. Great, I have I have low ticket resources for you that are loaded with value. I have a $500 course that has 25 hours of workshops in it, right? Like I have things for you. That's why I'm asking you, hey, where are you at, right? But to that, like you can have them request the strategy or a Loom call, or a Loom video rather. But in terms of your sales process, I would definitely recommend vetting as much as possible. If you do that discovery call, it should have not 40 questions, but it should say, what's your monthly budget for this, or something along those lines, right? And listen, I would see people in the beginning when I started my business, and I was like, dude, how do people even book these calls? There's like 20 questions, but now I realize people who are enterprise, I mean, I do enterprise buyers, like that's my clientele. So people who are enterprise buyers, they are used to that. Like they know that I have to basically, it's almost an application, right? So we're at the point where we can start doing that, where we're turning work down, we're turning certain prospects down because it's not an ideal fit. So once you get to that level, especially, that's when vetting and verifying the prospect before they enter any type of call with you, which is your time, is really important.
Yeah, that's one thing that I noticed when I started implementing that marketing budget on my essentially discovery call for Calendly. It like overnight, I got less calls, but I got better quality calls. On the topic of discovery calls, what about podcast alignment to getting those discovery calls? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so I mean, basically what you do with your content and or podcast is you fill in all of the information that somebody would want or need in the sales process before they get to you, right? So that's what you're doing with this content. What we do is like before in this, throughout the course of this interview, like I'm giving you the strategies. I give all that away, right? When it comes to selling houses, it's different. Like you're not going to teach people how to be their own realtor, But like if you did that, you would get more clients. Like if you said how not to hire a realtor, like how to buy a house without a realtor, you would get a lot of clients because you're giving people advice that they can use. They're going to realize how hard it is and how there's only so much you can do without a real estate license. Some of them might even take it and actually do it. But they're going to realize through you teaching that strategy, same way I'm doing this here, where I'm telling you what I'm doing, but actually doing it it's very difficult. That's why we exist, right? So it's the same thing. So we use podcasting to fill in all those gaps to answer any question. Hey, how do I make money with this thing? Boom, that's a podcast. What mic do I use? Boom, that's an episode, that's a YouTube video. What are your clients? What type of clients you have? Well, we have client interviews. We have 12 of them. Like we have all of those they're just resources for people that are directly related to what the prospects would be wondering about or would want to know.
On the real estate. So one of the big things with that in alignment. So let's say we're talking blog posts, right? For blog posts, one of the things you can do is like staging your home, right? Showing your home, those types of things. You can give all of that away without sacrificing not having a realtor. So you don't even mention not having a realtor. You just go, let me help you with this. And then they instantly buy from you. So it's a slightly different position there. And you can do the same thing with like blogs, podcasts, standard YouTube videos, that type of thing. I actually was just talking to a guy yesterday, Nat Wallen. He does YouTube videos exactly like that. And I wonder if he could almost do it like a podcast with his client, talk about the staging for it. So bringing it back to that client.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's different forms of the same thing. I mean, what you're really doing is you're finding like 100 ways to sell a house, to get somebody to hire you to sell their house or buy a house. You're finding 100 ways to talk about that, and then you're saying that 1,000 times, and then that's content. That's just how it works, right? Gary Vee, Cardone, anybody, any influencer, they're really saying the same thing in a ton of different ways. There's not much new information. It's just split in a bunch of different ways. So yeah, I'm with you. Have a client interview where you talk staging, have a YouTube video. Some people would rather just watch and listen in their car as they drive to the house. Other people would want to sit there and watch a 5-minute YouTube video, or on TikTok, right? Like that's why like I said, I post these 5 to 10-minute videos on LinkedIn. They get 2 to 3 hours of watch time just on LinkedIn in the first 2 hours. Yeah, I mean, and some of our videos get 100,000 impressions and all this stuff. So I don't care about likes. It doesn't matter. Likes don't matter. It's all about there are literally people watching this full 6-minute thing on LinkedIn. Same thing can happen on TikTok, Instagram. It doesn't matter. Especially localized. You're localized. You're good. You now do not have to get hundreds of thousands of views, right? Which is so much better. And on top of it, guess what? What if you had the construction company come in too and do an interview? What if you talk to the local chamber of commerce person, etc.? Like anybody who's within reaching distance, you can really kind of form this monopoly, and then you're the realtor that has all these connections and has this podcast and brings all these people in, and so they're going to want to refer you. So yeah, man, I'm with all of it. As many, the problem is overcomplication. Like that's what we do. We make it easy for our clients because there are a lot of ideas as to what to do, and then you go, okay, now how do I do it? So you don't want to take all of the ideas and run with them, but any way to create content that's different, no matter who it's with, that's our strategy.
Yeah. Podcasts are a really good way to do it because they're so wide as well. There's so many different things you can do within them. So like one podcast is never going to be the same as the next one, unless it's a Chris Williamson style podcast, in which case it's a dime a dozen. But like aside from that, you're set.
Yeah, and nobody's doing like 2 or 3 hour like interviews with realtors. So
yeah, that's also
it's
true.
Not. Yeah, so you can avoid that.
So on this, what does your funnel look like? Break it down from top to bottom. I know we went over how we get to like the discovery call, but walk me through the process linearly.
Yeah, so top is LinkedIn. So we sell to enterprise. We sell to law firms, 7, 8, 9 figure plus businesses. We help them develop a podcast that does what they want it to do. So it could be from branded or it could be for revenues purposes. So if you want to generate more profit with your content, you can do that with a podcast, and that's what we do. So That's kind of who we're reaching for. So the top of the funnel is LinkedIn and YouTube, with LinkedIn being the primary source. We have not expanded to other social platforms yet because we want to max out LinkedIn first, then YouTube, and then we'll move on from there. And so, yeah, they come in through LinkedIn or referrals. The referrals have been increasing a lot lately too, now that we have so much content and so many case studies. So yeah, they'll stumble on, they'll be a viewer. They probably won't like or comment, but they'll follow. They'll see 12 to 16 posts. Then if they're ready for a podcast, I'll have a CTA that says to reach out to me. They'll reach out to me. I'll send the Loom video. They'll say, okay, we're going to do this in 2 months. I say, okay, or sometimes they're going to do it immediately. So then we'll book the discovery call. And then we close, like, conservatively 60% of people. But from referrals, we close 95% of referrals. So that's basically the funnel. It's LinkedIn only right now and YouTube. But YouTube, we're a niche. We have 1,000 subs. We're not going for the masses. We're really just trying to give this podcasting advice to business owners, which is just not really an angle that some people are taking it, like your Pat Flynn's, and there's a few people who kind of have podcast advice for business owners, but it's a little bit of consumer. So we're saying, like, we don't even help any hobbyists. We don't help anybody who wants a cultural podcast or wants to save the world with their show on the weekends. We're going straight for the business side. So that makes us niche on YouTube, views in the thousands tops. That's all we need. We have a CTA that adds you to a which we can put on this episode too, which is a script that we use to script those 5 to 10 minute videos. We give that away for free. You opt into that. Now you're on our email list. So we get email opt-ins, and we'll close people that way through the email funnel. And then we have the DM funnel on LinkedIn, and that's most of how it works.
Yeah, I like that. I wanted to ask, so do you know who Laura Acosta is? I'm assuming you do.
Yeah, I don't know if she would consider us friends, but we've talked multiple times on LinkedIn, and she's a great creator. So
I don't know, man. I was talking to her for a bit, sent her a DM, and just never got a response. So, like, that's how it goes, I guess. No.
Well, she's an influencer, so
right.
That's she's not. Listen, there are influencers and business owners, and they're two different types of people. So, I'm a business owner. I sell services. I have an agency. I don't sell courses at scale. And this is not, this is why, like, your Justin Welsh, Laura Acosta, Jasmine Alec types, realtors won't know who the hell we're talking about, but these are like LinkedIn influencers that they're selling courses. So they need to reach millions of people. So they don't need to answer DMs. I'm the opposite. I sell high ticket. So all of my sales process is boutique and customized, so anyway.
Yeah, no, I brought it up because on Monday I was on a call with her. And one of the things that she was talking about is how she writes sales posts, essentially. So she does like 3 or 4 like regular posts every week, and then up to one sales post. And it's essentially, I help X do X. And then it's just story of how you did it, offer, link. Is that how you primarily do it, or do you do it differently?
Great question, man. These questions are good. This is the sauce, man. This is what you need. That's how I do it too. So my CTA may be DM. Typically what I'll do is I use the client interviews for this. So I'll say, let's say Harry joined our program to do this. Over the course of 3 months, we did this, this, and that. Then a little bit more about Harry, a little bit more about the program. And then the CTA says, if you're this type of person who wants this without doing this, then DM me and I'll send you the strategy for free. Right. And so, yeah, very similar. It's exactly, Laura's on pointed. She's knows a lot about content. This is exactly how most people can and should do it. I just do it my way, but it's the same exact thing. But I just always have a video, almost always, or I'll have a screenshot of coaching clients. But I'll have a video of a client just talking, about what they've done and a little bit about their podcast and maybe what we've done together. And that's it. That post will get 2,000 views tops, maybe 30, 40 likes. And it'll bring 2 or 3 people into the inbox.
The other advantage with that is you can use it on a landing page if you get a video from a client. That's one thing that I was talking with a couple of my clients about is, hey, can I potentially get a video just that I can put it on my landing page because it tells a better story than just like a text testimonial, for example.
Oh yeah, videos. I mean, listen, the internet's video now. I mean, when's the last time you read a blog? I've never read a blog. So, this is just the reality. And to your point about the landing page, yeah, we have a website. It's not good. It's fine. It's static. It just exists, right? Like it's a good site. It's not optimized in any sense. And I'm thinking like maybe we just change it to one landing page, with the positioning, the differentiator, lead it all to one service, so that's probably the direction we're going, and the top of that is literally just going to be a montage of clients because we have 12 hours. I mean, we have hundreds of hours of our clients talking on coaching calls, but we have 12 to 15 hours of client interviews too. So yeah, when you do that, like, I mean, imagine having a realtor website that is literally just a landing page where it's like sell your house in 90 days or whatever the value prop is, and then just a video of clients talking, and then it's just a funnel, like you can do it with a one pager. People don't need excess information. They like extra information if they want it. But they just want to know, like, where, like, if you're the realtor that does X and Y time through Z, then it's very simple. Then you get to push out all the people that don't fit, and then you funnel in the only people that do, right?
That's something that I was thinking about that would be really funny, is doing a real estate website. So the big problem with it is you almost need to show up on local searches, because otherwise you have to have, if you don't show up on local searches, it kind of shows up as fishy-ish. So what you could do is you could do a landing page. At the top, you have a menu, and all it says is something along the lines of blog, so that you can rank, a little search icon, and home. And then the rest of it is just a landing page.
Yeah, I think that's how we're going to do it too. Yeah, for sure. You need the other functions of the website. I definitely wouldn't leave those out. If you end up doing a podcast, you can just make your blog your podcast, basically. Just transcribe it, optimize the podcast for keywords. I mean, you're an SEO guy, so you know this, but like, we speak in more keywords than you could even optimize. Like, there's more keywords that we've mentioned in this interview now than that's the best SEO ever, So yeah, I mean, that's how I would do it. I would have that landing page, and then the blog would just be a blog for each podcast episode, so you get best of both worlds.
Yeah, I'm trying to convince my clients to do almost YouTube video type things for because I write the blog posts. That's part of just SEO. You kind of need to do like a YouTube video or something, and then we can rank on YouTube. So there's a lot of advantages to this, and I can go. So first off, you show up in more places on the SERP, which is the search engine results page. So you show up natively on Google, which is called a blue link. You show up on the YouTube recommended section. You show up on the video section, and you show up on YouTube. So you show up in 4 places instead of 1, which is a huge advantage compared to your competitors who are only showing up on 1.
Man, that's it. That's the sauce right there. And great. The highest level of agents do that. They hire people like you. I mean, let's look at business, right? Like, not to zoom out too far, but hey, if you're successful, how do you not have a website guy, an SEO guy? How are you not recording YouTube videos? Like, you're successful. You're making millions of dollars from this real estate thing. Like, if you do these things, it really makes it look like you do too, right? If you have the time to create this stuff, to educate people, then you're definitely an expert, right? Like, people who are struggling don't have the time to do it, right? So it's a perception, authority, and awareness thing on top of all of the technical benefits that you mentioned.
Yeah, it's adding all of that on top is just like the icing on the cake, if you will.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I don't have anything else for you. I'm assuming you want to send people to LinkedIn and YouTube. So where can they go? Yeah,
so I think the client interview framework would be really beneficial for your audience. I'm just looking at things that are relevant to them. In that case, if you want to get started, we do not have a landing page for that right now, but we do have a landing page for our video script. You can go ahead and download it too. So you can, if they do go ahead and use it, you could help them through it and make sure it's optimized for SEO as well. This is the same script we use to rank our videos on the first page of Google. So it's It's based, not, I don't want to say guaranteed to work, but if you follow the framework, it definitely will work. So you can find me. It's Ryan R. Sullivan. If you use the R, you should be able to find me because there's a lot of clones out there. So if you type that in and Ryan R. Sullivan, entrepreneur on Google, that I'll come up. On LinkedIn. YouTube is the same. All socials. Podcast Principles is the business, but you don't really need to know that. So if you do use socials, or especially LinkedIn or YouTube, go ahead and follow and subscribe there. And then I'll give you the link, Andrew, to put down there for that video script. And that is, we call it that 5 leads per week in 5 minutes. So start making those 5-minute videos, start getting them out there, and you'll see.
Yeah.
We already mentioned the benefits.
I'd appreciate it too.